ChatGerry, Why Modern Medicine Remains Descriptive Rather Than Predictive, number 1521, the 2nd of February 2026, Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, category General Medicine. Preface, I woke up around 6 o'clock a.m. this morning from a vivid and unusually clear dream. In that dream, I kept thinking and speaking about one topic again and again, the nature of modern medicine, especially where it is strong and where it remains weak. When I woke up, these thoughts did not fade. They stayed organized, logical, and complete. That clarity told me this was not random imagination. It was a structured idea that had been forming for a long time. I decided to write it down immediately. Not to debate doctors or criticize institutions, but to preserve a line of reasoning before it disappeared. This article is first a record to myself. If others read it, that is secondary. Introduction. My academic training is in mathematics, physics, and engineering. I did not receive formal advanced training in biology or chemistry. However, over the past 17 years, I have studied physiology and pathology on my own by reading more than 10,000 medical papers. I also collected over 4 million personal data points from my own body across weight, glucose, blood pressure, diet, sleep, stress, and exercise activity. During the past 3 decades, I personally experienced 9 major disease events, including 5 cardiovascular episodes, chronic kidney disease, neuropathy, retinopathy, and stroke. These experiences forced me to look at medicine not only from books, but from inside my body and the system itself. For many years, I accepted a simple idea. Physiology is biophysics in a healthy state. Pathology is biophysics in an unhealthy state. At first glance, this sounds reasonable. Blood flow, glucose transport, nerve signals, oxygen delivery, and kidney filtration are all physical processes. They involve motion, pressure, diffusion, elasticity, plasticity, viscosity, and energy accumulation and loss. But after nearly 2 decades of study and lived experience, I realized something more precise. Although physiology and pathology involve physical processes, modern medicine rarely studies them using the actual methods of physics and mathematics. This difference matters more than it sounds. Medicine describes change, but rarely models it. Modern medicine is very good at describing what is happening. It names mechanisms, it labels biomarkers and pathways, it identifies organs, hormones, and receptors, but most of this work is descriptive, not predictive. Diseases are explained using words, diagrams, and statistics, not equations and quantitative analysis methods. Changes are described after they happen, not modeled before they occur. Time is chopped into segments rather than treated as a continuous flow. Even fields labeled as biophysics are often placed inside biology or biochemistry departments, not physics departments. As a result, the depth of mathematical and physical rigor is limited. Statistics is often used as a substitute for true mathematical modeling, but it is insufficient. Statistics can describe associations. It cannot describe dynamics. This is not a criticism of doctors. It is a structural limitation of how medicine is built and taught. Static snapshots dominate medical thinking. In physics and engineering, statics applies only to limited conditions. Most real systems are governed by dynamics, not stillness. We study velocity, acceleration, fatigue, instability, and failure over time. Real systems move. They accumulate damage. They collapse gradually before they fail suddenly. Medicine, however, relies heavily on still snapshots rather than continuous observation, such as one glucose test, one HbA1c value, one blood pressure reading, one scan, one lab report. Even when time is included, it is treated as comparison between 2 still images, before versus after, baseline versus endpoint, acute versus chronic. This is not dynamics, it is segmentation. I experienced this problem personally. After my recent stroke, a neurologist labeled me as a chronic hypertension patient. Yet over the 15 years before the stroke, not a single clinic blood pressure reading exceeded 140 mmHg. After the stroke, I collected more than 25,000 blood pressure-related data points over 210 days. My highest systolic blood pressure reached to 149 mmHg only once. This kind of labeling is based on assumptions and snapshot logic, not on longitudinal data. Segmentation cannot reconstruct motion. Repeated snapshots do not reconstruct motion. 2 to 5 still images shown within 1 minute cannot replace a movie that contains hundreds or thousands of frames in the same minute. This is explained by persistence of vision. The brain connects continuous frames into motion. Without enough frames, direction, speed, curvature, and loss of reserve cannot be seen. Medicine mostly works with slideshows. Disease, however, behaves like a movie. Without sufficient time resolution, doctors cannot see early trajectory changes. They miss acceleration, instability, and approaching failure. By the time a threshold is crossed, damage has already accumulated. Disease is observed after the fact. Because medicine lacks dynamic mathematical models, disease progression is recognized only after it occurs. Risk models can estimate who is more likely to become ill, but they cannot show how fast the body is degrading, when reserve will fail, or how much damage has already accumulated. Because statistics does not capture continuous change over time. As a result, medical prediction is based on probability, not certainty. Different explanations can exist at the same time because none are tested with precise formulas. This is not a moral failure. It is a scientific limitation. What is missing? Mathematics and physics. True science rests on four foundations. Mathematics provides structure and proof. Physics provides laws, dynamics, and energy accounting. Chemistry explains reactions and transformations. Biology implements life. Modern medicine emphasizes biology and chemistry. It uses statistics as a replacement for mathematics. Physics is largely absent as a governing framework. Without calculus, there is no rate of change. Without rate, there is no dynamics. Without energy methods, there is no damage accounting. Without equations, there is no prediction. Biomarkers turn into labels. A glucose value is called high or low, rather than understood as one moment along a continuous path shaped by long-term stress. Why narrative is not enough? Some argue that biology is deterministic in principle, even without equations. This claim does not hold up scientifically. If determinism is never formulated as equations, never tested quantitatively, and never used to predict outcomes, then claiming it exists in principle is meaningless. Words do not create dynamics. Narrative does not create computation. Even literature or history can describe events and changes, but description is not prediction. Complexity is not an excuse. Another common argument is that the human body is too complex to model. This argument fails. Aerospace systems, semiconductor devices, defense platforms, computer science, and artificial intelligence systems are also complex. They are modeled using mathematics, physics, energy methods, and time domain simulation. Complexity did not stop those fields from becoming predictive. Medicine should not use its complexity as an excuse for remaining descriptive. The real consequence, because of these structural limits, modern medicine remains descriptive rather than predictive. Disease is detected late. Trajectory changes are missed. Interventions are reactive. Patients feel unwell while tests still appear normal. This gap is not caused by bad doctors or careless patients. It is caused by missing a more rigorous scientific structure. Conclusion: modern medicine observes how the body changes, but it does not model those changes using physical laws. It explains disease with descriptions, not equations, and predicts likelihood rather than trajectory, until medicine integrates mathematics and physics as part of its core foundations. It will continue to describe disease after it happens rather than predict it before it unfolds. The solution is not more words, it is structure, it is equations, it is time continuous modeling. The argument that the medical curriculum is too crowded should not be accepted. Being busy has never justified delaying scientific progress. Only then can medicine move from describing disease to predicting it. Disclaimer: I write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights belong to the author, Gerald C. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.